Good morning!
Good morning.
Bonjour!
Bonjour à tous. This is Sebastien.
And I am Michelle, and welcome to Frenchipino Cooking!
Yes, we live from Puerto Galera. It's 8 a.m. here in the Philippines.
And
Another beautiful day.
yes, it's very a little cloudy, but the sun is out, and yeah, we
Yep.
are here in the island, and we're ready to cook for you today.
So after the adobo last week, we got into another very traditional take of the bread pudding. We're gonna use Pandesal, which is the obligatory um, bread here. So super super simple, small loaves like that, and they're very soft. They can be in pretty much any shapes, right? From round, a little bigger. Sometimes they breed them a little bit to give them a fancy name, but otherwise that's what it is. So just a regular flour-based um, buns. So those buns, we're gonna use them to make a bread pudding. Okay, bread pudding is something very traditional also in France, and I'm gonna do it creme caramel style. And then also I'm gonna show you how to make creme caramels, just the same way, the same technique as the Pandesal. So
Okay. Before anything else, we want to remind you that we're going to show the ingredients on the screen, and you will be able to note them down. So maybe we can just go quickly what
sure,
ingredients we need before we start
absolutely.
cooking.
So creme caramel bread pudding. We have the bread already. Now the caramel. The caramel is in the pan here. So what we need for caramel is a syrup that's gonna caramelize, right? So we need sugar and water. So we have 40 grams of sugar and 20 grams of water in there.
Yes.
And then we have a mixture of milk, heavy cream, whip up with some eggs and sugar, and flavor with a little vanilla extract.
Okay, so that's gonna be the custard, no?
That's the custard,
This
exactly.
one, we pre-mixed it already.
Yes. So what we do with this is quite simple. We take the milk and the heavy cream. We bring it to boil in a pan with a little bit with the vanilla extract. That's going to open up all the flavors in the vanilla. And then on the side, we whip up the eggs and the sugar, nice and foamy. And then we add the hot mixture to the egg and custard, the egg and sugar. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's gonna become the custard. And that we're gonna whip it up. It's gonna be nice and foamy on top. We just let it sit, and we want it to cool off. Okay, just because we could, if it was creme caramel, bake it right away, but it's also better for the foam to go down a little bit because
Okay.
it gets a little bit foamy.
So the custard, because we're used to seeing the custard cook, so it's usually this liquid. It's a liquid form, and then it's best to refrigerate it while it sits, or
It can be on the
rest
counter just
on
so
the
so
counter.
it comes down to a room temperature.
And I also wanted to ask you about the bread, because they say that when you do bread pudding, it's better that it's as dry as it can be.
Yes, usually bread pudding is made with leftover bread. Um, when I grew up, we had a box for the bread in the countryside, like many households in France. And then the bread that were left over at the bottom, every week or so, we just cut them into pieces and we soak them in that custard mix to make bread pudding. So there are two ways to actually make the bread pudding. There's a French toast style. So you just slice the bread and then you soak it to make it nice and moist. And then you saute it with butter on a pan, or you can bake it just the way that we will do it today.
Okay, that's good.
So the more the bread is dry, the more moisture it's gonna take from the custard. It's really gonna soak in the custard just like a sponge, right? So while the sugar is getting ready here, slowly,
Maybe
slowly,
maybe
you can go for it.
I can show you how it looks like. And okay, so there you see, there, ayan.
So we just start. I like to use a non-stick pan.
So you see the sugar is bubbling with the water. And how high is the heat?
The heat is on a
High setting.
high setting. Yes, I'm gonna lower it actually. The dogs are cooperating. Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me.
So as you can see, we have a very informal setup here. So we're right here in the terrace of our home, and anything goes, just like show business. Whatever the dogs will bark, but we're here. We're gonna cook for you, and yeah. So right now you're slicing and if I'm moving around so you can see what chef is doing. So there
Yes.
you go.
So I just cut the bread in half, so they're not too big of pieces, and then
Mm-hmm.
they can soak in the liquid in a little bit. We're gonna do that just a minute.
Okay.
We're gonna take a look at the sugar here. It's on a lower heat, so
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to mix it around too much because you might crystallize. So the secret for the caramel is quite simple. You need a pan that's very clean, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any little dust or anything that might stay there, residue, might just crystallize the caramel. So you would end up with a big block of sugar and not caramel. So now it's melting nicely, right?
And you need to watch it, no?
You
Very
need to watch it all
closely.
the time. Stay there.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hot inside. It's about 175 Celsius right now. Or it's gonna get there anyway. So you always want to use um, a pot holder like that to make sure that you're not burning yourself, and then you just let it caramelize like that.
Yeah, I wanted to say also that creme caramel, when I first saw it, I was very, I remembered leche flan. So leche flan in Filipino cooking is a very traditional and very popular dessert. And it reminded me so much of leche flan. And when you tasted it, I mean, the ingredients are quite similar, no?
Right. Very similar.
But
It's like the tres leche flan, also the Mexican cooking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, here we use milk and we add a little bit heavy cream to make it a little silkier. But many recipes go with milk, any kind of milk, evaporated milk, condensed milk.
Mm-hmm.
We use all milk here with heavy cream, regular heavy cream. So now you see the volume here. Maybe we can come back with the close-up can.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there you go.
The volume is down, and then it start to smell a little bit burn, right?
Okay, so the smell we cannot capture actually, but there you go. You see that there's a little bit of color. It's clear and bubbly, but now you can see a little bit of brown in it.
Right,
And
it's gonna come.
how do you know that it's done then?
Well, by the color, then the bubbles are gonna slowly stop,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then the color is gonna get golden, and then it's gonna go down to burn very
Very
quickly.
quick.
So you have to watch it.
Okay,
So that's
there.
why
That's easier for you.
you're not going anywhere. You're not answering the phone while that's happening. Just stay right there because it's gonna turn gold and turn black very easily.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to miss that.
So I
Because
want.
once it's burned, then it has that bitter taste that you cannot get rid of. The
Mm-hmm.
color is nice,
Yes.
but the flavor is not.
Okay.
Right, we're almost there.
So you cannot multitask if you're caramelizing sugar.
Now,
There you go. So I'll do a close up. You can see there's already a light brown.
I turn up the heat a little
Okay.
bit, so the sides are gonna lightly get brown. So that's the most difficult and technical part. But you see, you don't have much to do. You just watch your sugar pretty much caramelize and burn nicely, so it becomes gold and flavorful. Right, so we're almost there.
Yeah.
Right, so we turn it down,
And then
and
there's
then
now it's getting really brown on the side.
yes, so you can just mix it up nicely.
Mm-hmm.
Right, you see that. So you can stop here, or you can go a little further. and that we have a little bit of water here in the cup. So when we will add the water, it will bubble very, very fast and loud. And we just add a little butter, little water to stop the cooking and the temperature.
I'm backing up because
Yes.
it's gonna ano.
It's not splashing. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Just do it at a reasonable height, right? I want to go a little color so you can see the color,
There you go.
right?
So you
It's fine,
can
you can
smell
stay
it.
here.
You can already smell the slightly burnt ano smell.
So when you're there, what you can do, you can just stop the heat, and it will naturally just continue cooking. It's not because you turn off the heat, then it's gonna stop cooking.
Because
And then you can see the fuse a little bit burning. So I think I'm gonna stop it right there. What do you think, Michelle?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's time.
It's time. Okay.
Yeah. Ta-da!
So you see it's bubbling. You can just wait a second. And then you just swirl it around like that nicely. Do not use a whisk. Okay? Just like that, not a spoon. Just like that. It will all end up mixing itself nicely.
For one, you're using a non-stick pan.
Yes.
So a wire whisk will scratch the.
Much easier. Much easier. So the recipe that you have is good for 8 of the ramekins. We're gonna use like that to do creme caramel, and also to do 2 loaf pans like that of the bread pudding. So I'm just gonna split the caramel here. So you have the two formats, right?
So you can hear also the street sounds over here.
What I
That's
do,
that's island life.
I just pour a little bit and I show you how much is poured in there.
Yeah, I have the camera focused on the. There you go.
So what I like also when you use the non-stick pan, it's like pretty much everything goes in the pan.
Goes down.
There's almost no waste.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the heat is still lighting on here. What you can do is just
Swirl it around.
swirl it around to make sure it's everywhere. You can add a little more if you like. It doesn't change much to it. And you see the creme caramel, there's just a little bit at the bottom, right? So here you have barely enough to do about 8 creme caramels, right? With 40 grams of sugar. So that's done. We're gonna let it cool, and it's gonna become hard very, very quickly. As soon as you put it in there, the temperature drops, and then it's gonna become hard. So here I placed
like candy.
like candy.
Like a brittle.
Yes, exactly. So here I place the bread in the bowl where I'm gonna soak the bread. Just mix it up a little bit more.
So the pandesal we baked it yesterday. So this one is homemade, but it's always a problem for pandesal. You buy too many and then you don't get to finish it. And then the next day or even in the afternoon, it's very dry already. So this is a very good option for you to make with leftover pandesal. Everybody who's joining us, please let us know. Come on and shout out and say hi to us so we can also chit chat with you while we're cooking. So we're kind of multitasking, but it's nice to know that you're out there watching us. So chef now is soaking.
Yeah, very much like a sponge when you put it in water.
Right.
You see the bread is like dripping. If I press it down a little bit,
Yeah.
it's dripping of the custard. That's exactly what we're looking for. Huh?
Hello, Rian. Rian
Hello.
is watching.
Magandang umaga.
Magandang umaga. Bonjour. So you see, okay, now I'm giving you a closer look. There you go. That will make it very nice and soft when you bake it.
You let it sit on both sides, especially the top side where it's a little more hard and crunchy, right? You let it sit face down, just for you can feel when you actually moving it around that it's dry or it's still needs a little bit of soaking. So the rest of the custard here, we're gonna divide in the two molds here.
Mm-hmm.
The ramekins. The size of ramekins we use are the pretty small one, French one. You can use a larger pan.
So our production is very basic. So, we interchange being the host, the speaker, the camera person.
So you can use small ramekins like that for creme caramel, but you can also make it here. You could have definitely just pour the whole mixture here and bake it like that. So I think the bread is ready here, already soaked in. When it's nice and dry, you also soaked in the custard very nicely.
Mm-hmm.
So the halves, we try to put the not so dry one, like what I cut the inside, face down, right? Because this is gonna be flipped upside down when we take it out of the oven. So
that will come out on top.
exactly, so it's nice and flat. And then also because the harder part here is gonna be in the middle and it's gonna stay nice and moist with the custard.
Okay.
So it doesn't dry out. Right?
So this is not just the pan where you make it, it's also the mold.
So you can use a pan like that, aluminium, or you can use a tart mold. If you have a saute pan, just like we did cook the caramel here, that goes in the oven, you can also cook it straight in there. That would be a nice round um, pudding, right? So you see it's nice and straight there.
So
and
this
I
one,
still have a little bit of leftover.
so you're gonna pour all of that.
Yes. All of it. That's
Yay!
gonna
All
go.
the eggy, milky, with a vanilla taste.
That's gonna go all the way, right?
Adrian, Debbie, and Finley are joining us. Hello,
Yes, hello,
guys.
Right. Now, Debbie, you can ask Frenchie to make this, okay? It's gonna be very easy.
I heard that Finley loves pandesal and lumpia and
There you go.
pancit. Mm.
So you have that, the loaf pan. Like I said, we could have definitely used the saute pan like that and put the bread inside and then bake it. What else can we use? We can also use a nice bakeware, like a
Pyrex?
terracotta, Pyrex, anything that's gonna stay in. You don't have to unmold it. It's better if you unmold it, but you can definitely bake it like this, and the caramel will be at the bottom.
It's gonna be like a serving dish already, straight
Yes.
from the ano.
So that's ready to go in the oven.
So what is the temperature on the oven?
So the temperature in the oven is 130, 140
Very low.
Celsius, yes.
Very
Quite
low.
low.
Okay.
And then you just put it in. What I like to do, I like to put it in because it's gonna go in the water bath. You want a sheet tray, but not too high, right? Because you don't want a swimming pool.
So
And then you're just gonna add water once it's in the oven, right? Don't travel with the tray with water here to the oven. Bring it to the oven, right? And then you can pour the water right here, about halfway, and then you slide it nice and slow because you see with the liquid inside, there are a lot of waves, a lot of custard can tend to fly around and end up in the tray.
That's called the bain-marie.
That's the bain-marie right there, the water bath. Okay, so you cook that for about 45 to 50 minutes until if you try to move the tray like this, you see the custard will not move anymore in the ramekin. Pretty much just like that.
Look
It's
at
nice
that.
and firm. Okay, so that we cooked earlier, and you need to chill it after it's ready. So that's one. And number two is the pudding here. So I already flipped it. So what you can do, there are two ways to do this. You can bake it and actually flip it as soon as it comes out for the pudding, the bread pudding. The creme caramel needs to stay in a ramekin until you eat it because it's going to tend to dry out. But the pudding, you can definitely, when it comes out, you just slide a knife around, and then with the caramel, that's going to act.
Oh, there it is.
Just like that. right?
There. So that's how it looks like. So the caramel that we put in the bottom is now the topping. So you can see that.
And you see, it's like butter. You can cut it very, very easily. So you can serve it room temperature, or you can serve it fairly
Chilled.
chilled,
Serve
or you can
chilled.
also just pop it back in the oven and serve warm. It's very nice.
With ice cream on top.
With ice cream on top, it's always a
Yeah.
good idea. There are never enough ice cream around. Yeah.
Now I want to taste that.
So
Okay. There you go.
very, very simple flavors here. Egg custard with the bread, right?
Mm-hmm.
Messy, but that's for you to try. And then here
Yay!
we have the creme caramel. So do not use a knife to actually uh, um, unmold it. Just with your hand, you press down like this on the sides, right? And then you want a little bit of hair to go on the other side, so it kind of just go down by itself, right? So just like that.
Ooh, look at that.
Okay, you see all the caramel went down in the custard and then stayed on top to flavor it.
You make it look very easy.
It's very easy, just slice out. Super, super easy, okay?
Oh, wow.
So that's the creme caramel. So one little more tip for that. I think it's very easy to just do with milk and cream, right? But you can also add many variations to it. You can flavor it with a little bit of liquor, like rum or orange flavor. Romani is great. But you can also add mix it up with the milk, right? You can have the milk and coconut milk.
Coconut milk.
Here we
Yay,
have
get that.
fresh coconut milk. So of course, it's super easy. But you can buy very decent coconut milk in the can, right? And you just split half and half. So the milk and the cream is 250 grams. So you would do 125 of milk and 125 of coconut milk, and that make you something even more island
It's so
ready.
shiny.
All right.
It's so
So that's
shiny.
our creme caramel and that's our bread pudding. I hope you enjoyed the show. And then we'll be back here next week with more dishes, more Frenchipino cooking. Thank you, Michelle, for staying today. Thank you for the production. And enjoy. Bon appétit. Happy Frenchipino cooking.
Yay,
Bye.
bye.
Salut. Bisous.
Like us on Mr. C. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the camera now. Bye bye, guys. Thank you.